Good evening. I would like to start the June 4th, 2024 council committee meeting. There will be an executive session following tonight's meeting. The remaining three segments meet Tuesday, June 11th, and the council meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, June 19th. Is there anyone here for public comment? Okay. Mr. Abrams?
Starting with the committee reports, Public Works report. My current update is that Mike Smith, who is a current DPW worker per the contract with Public Works, will be taking over as the interim. So we are able to hire somebody.
Well, in the absence of Mr. Watkins, Mr. Bacon, you'll take over, please. Thank you.
Yep, and we're ready for the engineer's report, please, which I'm assuming is related to the sewer contract, correct?
Yeah, I'll run through sort of our report on the items that changed from last month. I guess for anyone that doesn't know, I'm Josh Callender at Lennon Smith. I'm working Dalton's off this week. Kevin had a conflict, so I'm filling in for them. Yeah, Public Works, Avenue D storm sewer. I guess just an update for that. Borough did perform CCTV on lines in March. There's some further televising that's required. We'll coordinate with the borough as 2024 roadway program. So that contract was awarded to El Grande. Contract documents have been transmitted to them. Reconstruction meeting for that is scheduled June 12th. I'm gonna go through all the Public Works items, right? That's what this section, okay, just making sure. The Ardmore Boulevard storm sewer project, we opened bids June 3rd. Bid report was issued. Bids did come in high on that. Got two bidders. Basically, they're double the cost of what we feel the cost should be. And sort of evaluating the scope and rebidding that. Rot Lane trash rack, construction is anticipated to be complete mid-June. Pre-construction was held May 22nd for that one. Woodside Road storm replacement. Anticipating that to be a July or August bid opening. Currently finalizing the bid package for that. We will transmit an advertisement to put that one out to bid. Sanitary sewers go. Elka Grow grant applications due towards the end of June, so we're 90% through the design. Ashley Court and Ardmore Drive sewer. Again, we're finalizing the bid package on that one too. By August bid opening. I guess for that one, we would request that the borough authorize.
Project is that, Josh?
Ashley Court and Ardmore Drive sewer. So this is one that the borough received a small water and sewer grant application. $1,000.
Just to point out, Mr. Watkins is here, so we just started Public Works. Yielding to you.
Were there any other comments? Any other
Yeah,
issues that you wanted to raise?
well, I guess I have a few more items to go through and then we can. Actually, that pretty much is the end of our Public Works updates.
Okay. All right. I'm assuming we've done, then next would we move to the manager's update?
That's already passed.
Do that first. 2 minutes. Okay. Since we don't have a foreman, I don't believe our foreman is here today. He's past his retirement date. I don't see any other motions or material from Public Works. So anything else is in the agenda for the meeting. That would conclude Public Works.
Just a minute, please. Number 4 under the committee, the street sweeper program. We might wanted to look at that. Was everyone done with Josh?
You have one question, Josh, on since the letter of transmittal just came out today for the Ardmore Boulevard Avenue A, you said that came out higher?
Yeah, our estimated cost was about $350,000 for that. So yeah, those costs are almost double of what we feel it should be. After taking a look at the unit prices, they just are high. I mean, high for what we're seeing for other projects.
Okay, so in the letter, and I realize it's Kevin and Sean, and this is really more their bailiwick, but you actually are recommending that we award at least the base contract. Are there any thoughts, since we're talking about $250,000 more than budgeted?
Yeah, I see that was in the letter. I would think we would recommend. Those prices are high.
This delay the project significantly? To put
Well, if
another
we-
bid in?
Always raise your hand,
Oh,
please.
excuse me.
To rebid the project, yeah, I mean, if we would award it right now, we would probably start in a month and a half if we'd have to rebid it.
Thank you.
You had a question?
On a similar note, just to remind myself and for public comment, is this one that we had a grant that was involved, or is this one that was being covered by the increased sewer fees as part of that? Is there any, ticking limit on a grant or anything that we need to be concerned about?
Yep, the answer to that, Mr. Abrams.
Not have that answer off the top.
I believe it was.
You, Ms. Martin, President Martin, do you know if there was a timeline for the grant?
All I think I know is that it was applied for. We haven't heard back if we've received it yet or not. But Mr. Brett, I'm sure, or Josh, when he talks with them, could let us know that.
Are there any other questions for our engineer? Ms. Martin, you said you had a question about number 4.
Yes, I just wanted to bring up the street sweeper program that we've been asking for. We kept waiting, council kept waiting for, because we've purchased a street sweeper, but then we found out we've always had one. So I'm not sure why we didn't have a program going on, but I would like to work with Mr. Abrams as he will be directing Public Works on that. But I would like to get that started up. It's already June, hopefully by July.
I would hope so. I'm looking at this in just recently finding out and really what's going on. they've been doing street sweeping, but it's been in a more haphazard and way, like they recently did Edgewood Acres over the course of a day. So the goal would be really to, at this point, hopefully keep them going, getting it done, but I want to have specifics. All, and that's where I'd written in my notes, you know, we may need to post signs, say, you know, the first Monday of every month, it'll be this section. October, which is the standard time frame.
So then we'll be ordering signs.
That's the goal, yeah.
Thank you. Mhm.
As long as that's something that I'm assuming the council's in favor of to make it an accurate program, because parking is tough. So if we don't tell people they need to be off a certain side of the road, it will not happen.
I think there was a question.
That 46 miles of roadways in Forest Hills seems to be really low. Like, if you do the math, 20 to 30 miles a day, pretty much we would only need 2 days. But I think we have more
Up
than
and down
46.
the same street.
I don't know, I don't think we have,
We actually have,
chief maybe would know.
we have 23 miles and then up and down makes it 46.
That's it. And we
Well,
can
that could be
do,
swept probably.
no, it says sweeping, we can do 20 to 30 miles a day. So that means we can do all of Forest Hills in 2 days, if I got it right. It seems like very fast, but
I will point out the sentence or two after that, that it
I know,
it
but-
doesn't take into account. And if we can run it for 8 hours straight without anything going on, yes, we could. But yes, you are still, you're looking at probably 3 days, 3 days a month, that we're taking 1 to potentially 2 people off the road for the other things. And that's where the limitations come in.
much faster than I thought.
Mr. Bayuki, you have a question.
Yeah, thank you. On the signs that are would be placed, I would consider having something that says if you are parked there, you will be towed. Otherwise, you will not get people to move their cars.
We need to establish which days of the week, notify the residents ahead of time.
That's why I'm really not anticipating a full-fledged where we're going to be able to enforce and get everything done probably until the 2025 season. That will be more consistent this year, I think, than we have been. And we'll be putting all the pieces in place so that there will not be, or there shouldn't be any legitimate questions from residents with all the signs in place and everything by next year.
Mr. Bayuki, I would be more inclined to have a ticket rather than to have a car towed. A lot of us live in places where we have off-street parking. I know I can park a number of cars in my driveway, but a lot of residents don't have that ability, and to tow their car when they may need it to get it to work, I don't know if the crime fits the punishment.
Well, it just depends on whether you are trying to get the street swept on that period of time. I mean, there will be people that will never move their cars, and if they're going to be ticketed, it needs to happen.
Yes.
And, so the enforcement is going to be key. And the other thing that you could consider is that for some people, like for instance, on Pacific Avenue, where we've now made it no parking on, or, we've changed the parking situation, is that you don't do both sides of the road on the same day. Right.
Right.
Okay, just
Right.
because I know the city of Pittsburgh does that. They do one side and then they have to do alternate sides.
Wait, just 1 second. Let me defer to the chief on this. Would you prefer that we tow cars, or do you think it would be more efficacious to ticket?
I think that we could use some discretion. If the vehicle is out there, or the street sweeper is out there doing its job and they see a vehicle, they could call us right away. We could maybe get there in time to get the person to move the vehicle with a simple ticket. However, as Mr. Bayuki said, if you're trying to move through this at some reasonable pace and get this completed, it may come to that. That doesn't have to be the first choice. Again, somebody sees the sweeper coming and they may say, I better get out there or they're gonna tow my car. I don't think it's a problem to put on the sign that we will tow it. Again, the threat is always better because people do tend to pay attention to that a lot more than just no parking because they feel like, oh, well, they'll just give me a $20 ticket and go away. In this case, it wouldn't be that. We would want to get the car out of the way either way. So I think after you do it for a while and people see it and they know that on Monday at this time, eastbound side of this road is getting have a street sweeping program. I think they'll get it after the first few weeks. I can't say that on the first week or two, they're going to be very good with this, but through time, I think they will end up learning that this is the routine, be prepared for it. The worst thing that can happen is you could come out and find out your car's not there and we'll have it in the pound for you and you pick it up later. So again, I don't think that it's a big problem. I think we could try on the soft side of it first and we could still have the signs because you don't want to have to go up and put signs up again. You want to make it a one-time deal. You put the sign up. It's going to have the most drastic thing in the world to maybe get people there, get the attention that it needs. And again, I don't think we're going to have to do that with every car. I think a lot of people will move their cars and I think we'll get some pretty good cooperation. We do pretty well on 2 to 6 parking that way where people, they get a tag or two, they kind of get it and then they're done. And again, I think having the bigger, let's say, stick instead of just a carrot, I think you kind of get their attention a little more with we're going to tow your car because that's a much more drastic thing. I know it's very difficult for people who, don't have good parking areas. But again, I think you have to have some kind of true reason to make them believe they need to move their car. You have to give them a real reason. And I think that is that reason. I don't think hopefully we'll never even have to tow one car. We might be able to solve that problem, but the police are available to go should Public Works need them, as we do in many cases, to remove cars that are parked during construction of the roadways. We go and assist them when the company shows up to do a paving job. We show up there and help them get those cars, if they're on the street, out of the way. We've had to tow cars in the past because of that particular situation, and that's not a problem. We can do that. But again, you want to be able to at least have the stick in case you need it, because I don't want anybody to be surprised when we can't get this car out of the way and we have to take it away in a tow truck.
We've got a lot of hands going up. I'll start on the far end with Mr. Bacon and come down the line.
Separate from any sort of enforcement or whatnot. To clarify, are we still getting a new street sweeper? Or are we looking at doing this program with the, I think, early 90s Pelican sweeper?
I think the only person that knows that question just retired.
We are getting a new street sweeper.
Mr. Bauke.
Yes, and I'm sure this is going to be done, but there needs to be some education that goes out to all the residents, alerting them to the new program about the street sweeping, what they can do. There are a lot of streets that only have parking on one side, so they're going to need to understand what they can do and what they can't do during the program.
How do you propose we fill that education?
We could do a mailing. We can post it in the Tree City Times. That would be a good start right there.
President Martin, you had a question.
Well, this is for Chief Williams. What about the first week? Instead of giving a ticket, we just do a warning.
Yes.
And you think, oh, I've got a ticket. And it says, we're going to get you next week, but you have a pass. Yeah. Would you consider?
I don't have a problem with any of those things. Again, I don't think that discretion's a bad thing here. Giving everybody the opportunity to know what we expect from them is kind of, something we should do, especially in a new program where they're not used to this and they're going to be basically shocked by, oh, I have to move my
Right.
car.
When's the last time we've had this? Okay, never
Been that long
mind,
now.
never mind. We don't want to discuss number of years.
Yes, Chief, please come up.
If I can comment, I have to move my car every week. for street sweeping where I live. And everyone moves their cars. April to October. April 1st to April 30th, they get warnings. May 1st to October 31st, they give us a ticket and people move their cars. You have to make sure there's places for people to move their cars. They're limited, but it works. Like I say, I have to move every week. They sweep by street, not this every other week or every Wednesday night. I got to move my cars because Thursday morning, 8 o'clock, they come down with the street sweeper. Street sweeping, what day of the week? 8 to 12 or 12, you know, whatever. And I think they only do it in the mornings in Swissville. And then it'll be enforced. People come around and give tickets. Rocket science thing, but everyone moves. The people that don't move, they get tickets and they pay it that day. They pay $15. If not, they pay $25.
So I'll allow me to wrap this up. I would be more in favor of something like what Ms. Martin said, where we give a warning, maybe the first week or two. And if someone gets a predetermined number of tickets, whether that's 3, 4, or 5, and then when they get to that point, then they get towed because they're habitual. All right. Any other questions? Comments? Could you come up to the mic, please?
Handicap spot, my neighbor's handicapped. She doesn't have to move her car.
Or
Disability. So I move her
Yeah.
car for her and I take it off the street so the street gets swept.
Thank you. I guess that concludes Public Works.
there's one more item.
One more item.
The last item was the West Street Sewer Project, and I know that was something that has been initiated by Chalfont. And they were asking for the borough, for Forest Hills to contribute to it. After conversations with Mr. Brett, we are at this point doing nothing and waiting until it is put out for bid, determine if there's a price, and that's all on Chalfont. If there's a price in a full scope, then I think borough should be more willing to, ready to discuss what the options are once we know what price, what expectations might be.
When do you think we'll hear from Chalfont?
I don't know. If we don't, they've opted not to do the project. Something that, my understanding, they've opted to do on their own, but ask us for financial assistance. Joint project.
Have we committed to providing any financial assistance?
No, we haven't.
Any questions regarding the West Street Sewer Project? Comments? Ms. Martin, I believe that does officially conclude everything for Public Works. Thank you all for your comments.
Borough property, Mr. Bacon.
Thank you. May we have the manager's update, please?
Yes, I've been working with Annette and a person from the company that had originally worked on our geothermal system. As council's aware, we've gone through a couple of pumps over the past few years. It looks like the company that had been doing the checking the levels for the rust corrosion had gone out of business, and those pieces had lapsed. So we're now working with a new consultant to find a lab that can do the appropriate concentration testing so that we can get back on schedule and ensure the longevity of the system. The other piece is Forhut is now fully engaged with the executed contract. been in fairly regular contact with them and going through the list that was originally submitted as part of bids in November 2023, and they're going to check back with anything that they feel might be questionable instead of just going at absolute word. So there may be things that I come back to tree and shrub property and ask if this is really what we want to do.
Thank you. Mr. DeCrosso?
Would we be able to get a report from, like an update from Jorge, I don't know, every month or so, before the committee meeting, just to see what they've accomplished on this big list that we have to catch up on?
I'll talk to them and see whether it comes in via the invoice or some printed report.
Thank you.
I have one additional question is on that note, to confirm, for any residents who do have tree concerns, they should just be directly contacting the borough at the main office, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. Any other items?
That's it for my report.
Thank you. Mr. Reamer, where we have the recreation board items?
So summer's underway. We've got the pool open as of May 25th, weather permitting, obviously, but the opening went well. And we've got everything up and running. There is a small boiler issue. As we know, there's a new boiler over there. It is operational. It's holding the temperature at steady 82 degrees, which is where we want it. But there is a small factory leak underneath that SSM and Skylar are working together to determine how we're going to correct that issue, whether the factory is going to send somebody out or whether SSM is going to make that correction. It's just a matter of who's paying for it. And that there's also a leak in one of the vent stacks that SSM is going to be cutting out and replacing. At this point, the exhaust fan has been installed. There is one small 45 vent piece at the very top of the stack that they're waiting for, along with the cage to keep animals out. But that is up. It is not operational as of yet until all pieces are in place. The last thing for that project is they called today or sent an email today requesting that my hours for the pool with regards to starting the roof portions of that project. So that is all stuff that is working towards fruition. The Cogran software is up and running. Thank you to Mr. Bioki and all his work and Ms. Martin for helping to get that going. We went live just before the opening on the 25th, and it's open to mixed reviews. We have those that love technology and we have those that want their old dog tags back, and they've been informed that the paper is going away. So we're making that transition. It's going well. We're getting through the process. We are creating some operating procedures for the guards to follow, which will be, as we refer to it, the pool Bible, that will help them at the front gate, will help them down with the registrations. And at this point, all of the paper applications have been entered into the system for our residents. So we are working to get that completed and several of the updates taken care of. The pickleball sound study was done on Saturday by LSSE and their companies. We're supposed to hear back in 2 weeks on their findings with that. But everything from what I was told went as scheduled. So they are done with that. And then I don't know if you want to talk about the Westinghouse Lodge at this point. Obviously, we have our first rentals coming up this Saturday. So we are working diligently to get that to fruition. I sent an email out to Public Works this morning, thanking them. They were there bright and early this morning, trying to catch up with the landscaping portions that they could take care of prior to the concrete pour. The sidewalk is now in for the band shell, all the way back to the actual construction site for that. So that is out of the way. And we are working to get the electricians, the lighting up for our rental on Saturday. And I believe the floor is being done on Thursday. and SSA is coming in on Thursday as well to get the cameras moved around because they no longer have to go around a fireplace. So we're making a couple camera moves on that. But good as can be expected right now. Like, I like what I see so far, so.
Mr. Herbal there?
One question, maybe too early for you, but since you have all the technology, maybe you know, how are we doing with our pool pass and sponsorship compared to last year?
It's too early to tell. I literally just got done, myself and my office managers just got done entering all these items in. We're now trying to go back through and help the customers build their own database with their families. So that's what we've been focused on along with Westinghouse. So I have not focused on the actual reporting of sponsorships and what have you.
It's a little early on that one. We
Little
usually
early.
get it at the end of the
I
summer.
figured we have the new technology.
I have one additional question on Westinghouse. Have we heard anything further on the dumpsters getting?
The dumpsters are gonna be removed.
confirmed or removed?
One, I think, is being removed tomorrow, the other on Thursday, from what I understand. Roofer is also going to remove the pile that is in the lawn when I believe they're there tomorrow, correct, Josh? We had a meeting this morning just to sort of coordinate everything. The kitchen has been scrubbed down. Yesterday that was done. We do have, the water was turned on today. We did find out that we have a water leak at the hose bib that will supply the bathroom trailer. So Public Works is coming in the morning because that is outside of the scope. That was existing plumbing from our building. So it appears to be, knock on wood, a quick fix. So Public Works is, Mike has been notified. He is going to bring guys out tomorrow to. Public Works and I have been working closely together to make sure we handle, the volleyball courts have been tilled, the bocce courts have been weeded. So they got a huge jump today with the nice weather, and that I sent a nice thank you message to them, and I'll probably owe them a pizza or two. So.
And one final question on the bathroom trailer. Do we know what day that shows up? Is that Friday, tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning, it'll be there.
Thank you very much. It looks really nice back there. And also I was at the pool this afternoon and things seem to be running very smoothly and it was very, very well attended.
The only thing I
Thank you.
will add is, because there are some questions with the pool hours. Unfortunately, Woodland Hills School District decided to change their graduation date. They pushed that back, which then pushed classes back. I personally didn't know until just today what the reasoning behind that was, and that all was behind the government testing that every student has to take. So that delayed the process of classes and graduation, which pushed back the full pool hours a few days because we didn't have enough guards because they're all. That is all stuff that's been posted at the pool. And so we've been handling those phone calls, but we will be open on Friday, full 12 to 8 for the rest of the season. So. Questions?
Thank you very much. Ready for further engineering report, please?
For property, I'll sort of just be expanding on what Walt provided for updates. So yeah, Westinghouse site, multiple contracts, I guess, running through the first one, the roof replacement, HVAC upgrades. So the roof replacement's been done. They're gonna be on site. Walt mentioned they'll be there tomorrow as well to clean up the site, remove the dumpster from the site. The aluminum handrail, concrete patching. There was one gap in the railing. Popped over here, it looks like that panel, so there's no longer a gap. They still have some punch list items that remain. Patching. Pressure washing's been done. There's a couple areas on the soffit panels that need scrubbed a little more. As far as interior renovations, pushing to get this main area ready to be Chlorine's done. Thursday, they're gonna clean it, so most of the work remaining is with the electrician in the main meeting room. And you installing those tomorrow, and we'll have to be done with them tomorrow. General contractors has some touch-up painting. Holes, and then well, it's gonna have cleaner come in Friday to do one final cleaning before the rentals as well. So for the main area, it'll be this week complete. Remainder of the improvements for the restrooms, probably looking. Renovations. Site work at the Weston House Lodge. That outdoor grill, that work was completed. There were a couple punch list items. Just in the caps. I didn't happen to take a look at that. He said that they were going to be out there this week to address that. The pavilion roof, if it isn't done right now, it should be done tomorrow. There. Playgrounds installed. Completed. Public Works did backfill around that. And future projects. So pool locker rooms and ADA improvements. We did submit a grant application. Borough was awarded a Greenways Trails and Recreation Program. Park improvements. So once a grant contract comes back and gets executed.
Yeah, that's been completed and I forwarded any documentation to Kevin.
Okay, so we have that. So we'll set up a kickoff meeting, get surveys.
Mr. Erbaldinger?
I have a comment about the Westinghouse rack. I went there and looked at it, and removing of the fireplace completely changed the character of that entire building or made it much bigger. And we have as an option to bump out 2 corners maybe next year or so. And I don't think we need those bump outs anymore. Because we always envisioned how it looked. It was kind of smallish, but now without the fireplace, I don't think we need those 2 glass bump outs, which we always have an option for next year. I think we can, if you all agree, I guess we don't have to talk about it today, but I think we should axe those 2 bump out options. They were pretty expensive and I don't think they're needed anymore.
But we bid that as a part of the exterior renovations and we didn't end up getting any bidders on the general contract. I do agree, it taking that chimney out did open up that space quite a bit.
The cost, yeah, I don't want to think about that for next year after what we've been through this year.
To add on to that too, maintaining the lower mansard roof also keeps it pretty nice and sheltered in there on that thought. Thank you very much for the engineer's report. If we have no further questions. On the subject of Westinghouse, if this isn't another committee or anyone has thoughts, potentially Mayor Porco does. Do we have any plans for any sort of public announcement or sort of ribbon cutting or anything potentially once the restroom part is finished? Is there anything in the works for that?
We're waiting for it to be finished.
Fair. Mr. Reamer?
As we all know, the merry-go-round down at the park is not working. It's been roped off for a while. On Thursday evening, we found out that the teeter-totter had broken as well. When we went to inspect it, it was rotted from carpenter ants on the inside. Public Works is aware of it. They have roped it off. But it is just yet another piece of playground equipment that we need to work on. And obviously the Greenways grant part of that, but obviously, I can expect complaints about various things at the park breaking down. In the Teeter Totters case, it is, from what I understand, a fairly easy fix that they are going to work on and get it back up and operational. Luckily, none of the parts broke, just the wood itself. So we are going to work to get that done, but I just wanted you guys to be aware of it. Yes, sir.
Earlier in the year, we were told that all the parks were inspected and all the equipment was inspected. How did those things get missed?
The rotting was from the inside out on that specific piece. It wasn't until it snapped in half that you were able to see the tunnels running through it. So it was not something that was visual from the outside.
We need to take a better look at how we're doing those inspections. And if there is equipment that needs to be removed before it's, I know you say the merry-go-round is roped off. That doesn't stop anybody from using it.
I don't disagree.
And if that's the case, it probably ought to be dismantled and removed. It's just my suggestion.
Mr. Erbaldinger?
I have a suggestion for your ribbon cutting. Like Ms. Martin said, we should wait until it's completely done. But we could use the pool. We did a major renovation at the pool when we had the ribbon cutting there. And I think we invited Jay Costa, probably she was not there yet, but Abigail Salisbury, because the state paid significant amount of money to that. And I think we could do the same, like this bronze plaque we have at the pool, something like that. Pretty much model it after the pool opening.
Yeah, we plan on just doing what we've always done with that.
Thank you. All right, moving on, I have an item brought by the Tree and Shrub Committee. There's a chart in your, or table in everyone's agenda about some of the items that were used.
Just so you know when you're done.
Okay. Items that were used in setting up the rockwood planting, which is now done and in place. I have a change to this in which all of the grayed out the first 3 grayed out items, the members who bought them are gonna just hold on to those. We don't need to worry about reimbursement. They're interested in just retrieving those after the summer, after the trees are established. However, Mark Heibach, the committee chair, who is a restoration ecologist, recommends us having some significant deer fencing that goes around the trees to keep them from getting browsed on by deer. And this would be something that would be unique to those and then potentially used by the borough. So if we are up for that idea, I'd be interested in discussion of having that as a more robust thing to protect these new trees that we've invested in. President Martin?
I looked at the site. There's already a fence behind it. And there's really only about, it looks like 5 feet from that fence to the street. I understand their concern for the trees, but putting a 200-foot fence there, I think that actually around the trees, that something more reasonable than $225 would.
Let me clarify then. This isn't for like linear fence. This is to get a bulk purchase of the fence that would then be cut up to be individual tree circles around the tree.
I actually think
everything
that Public Works already has something like that. Has anybody talked with them?
He extensively spoke with Mr. Thielacker. And there wasn't any evidence of anything appropriate in the borough inventory.
Well, would it necessarily have to come from the Tree and Shrub Committee's budget?
I don't think it necessarily would have to. I think it's connected with the trees that have been planted. But I imagine it.
I just, not that it's like it would be over 50. I mean, I know that's a small amount of money, but
well, I don't think we have any additional plans for this year for that budget and it's $1,000 budgeted with, I think, Mr. Abrams, do you have numbers with you?
Yep, so that, the note that we would be over, it is $1,000 budgeted, so the note that we would be over by $50 assumed that the borough would also be purchasing the rain barrels, the water jugs, and the watering buckets. So right now, we've spent approximately $332 in tree planting. Based on what Mr. Bacon has said, we're looking at an additional 249 out of the tree planting budget. So we would, the budget itself would not be expended.
I thought that was, the trees were already purchased by vouchers and we didn't have to add money. That was my understanding. They received
Correct.
vouchers. I don't think we've spent money on trees for this site.
Maybe not for this site, but when I pulled the accounting for the tree planting account for 55,372, it showed $332 expended. I would have to go back into the files and trace back to the paper to see where that came from, but that was through the accounting software. It could have been that or other supplies, but I can certainly check on that. But either way, we would be well under, since the members are going to be keeping the first three items for themselves.
No complaints here, then.
I apologize that we skipped over Mr. DeCosta.
Thank you. My first reaction at seeing this request was, aren't they supposed to get approval for that before they ask for the money and not go ahead and buy it? Maybe this is a question for Mr. Lawrence and procedure, but shouldn't they be asking for approval before the money is spent? They're just like, oh, we bought this and now we want council to pay for it. So it's not an astronomical amount of money, but I was just surprised at the order of things.
Yeah, so the concern was that it was getting hot quickly and we had the trees and they needed to get in the ground. And that is why the committee members bought the parts that they would be comfortable using themselves if the borough did not want to take ownership for future rounds of supporting planting. So agreed, it was
Just
out
thought,
of
you know,
sequence.
they might be a little upset with us if we didn't buy this after the fact. So, yeah.
I spoke with folks who's, everybody was aware of the risks of potentially reimbursing or having to hold on to this equipment. So
Okay, thanks.
agreed, it should be clarified to them in policy. And we should be planning farther ahead in advance for these projects and before we suddenly have trees that need to get in the ground and watered. Are we in favor then of going with this fencing to protect the new trees on Rockwood?
I have no objection.
No objections.
No objection.
Mr. Abrams?
My only recommendation would be that if Mr. Hybach doesn't already have it, or whoever would be purchasing, that they spec it out and let us purchase it to take advantage of the tax exempt and the government piece of it.
Agreed. Well, I'll make sure that everybody works through this as an example of smooth, formal process. Right, thank you. The next item is just a note that the Public Works gutters are in line to be cleaned as a priority item. Any further comments? Right, and then, Mr. Watkins?
I'm assuming the gentleman in Public Works will be doing that cleaning. Or is it going to be contracted out?
Mr. Abrams, can you confirm?
I believe our first intent is to have our own staff do it. If for some reason it turns out that they cannot, then I'd be coming back and we'd be looking at additional expenditures.
I asked about that last year and didn't hear anything back since then, so it's good to hear that it's going to be done.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. Right, our next item is just the Ardmore Boulevard Arches insurance claim after the collision in, I believe, 2022. Mr. Abrams, would you like to speak to this?
So this was all fairly new to me. I did the research to figure out where we were and what happened. At this point, our insurance company was not willing to pay more than what our policy limit was, which was a little more than a third of what the actual cost to repair the arch was. We also have a letter stating that the arch is stable. So it would obviously appearance wise and otherwise, but it's not a safety risk. Somewhere along the lines, we did not file to go against the actual insurance company from the bus company. I have reached out to our insurer to find out if there's any statute on that as far as timelines, and if we can still file and if directly against them, and if our insurer can actually help us beyond our policy limit, as far as making sure that if it's not too late, that it's done so that we can be made whole.
Mr. Erbaldinger?
Probably you don't know, but why did not the bus company insure? I run with my car into some guardrail or whatever, my car insurance has to pay for it.
Incumbent upon us as the victim to approach them for payment. That's where it got dropped after, because a lot of people will go through their own insurance and then seek subrogation and have your own insurance go after the other company. In this case, we were told because of our limits, at least the understanding, better off going after them ourselves.
But I remember it was like before LSSE took over, we had Gillian do an assessment and structure. Surprised that we never filed a claim. Okay.
Mr. Watkins?
Are we still able to file? I know that a lot of times, like a series of statute of limitations.
That was the question I posed to our insurer today, once I got all the details and found out where the gaps were. So I'm hoping to have an answer on that within the next couple of days.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, under the committee business report, I just have one brief item, just info to everybody that the EV charger discussion that I had previously, we are getting another round of information from Duquesne Light, which will include such things potentially as an electrician estimate and just some more information on grants. So there may be more information in the future on that if that looks favorable towards a lower cost option. And that concludes borough property. Thank you.
Public safety report, Mr. Baiocchi.
Yes, thank you. Is there a manager's update?
There is not.
Okay, thank you. Chief Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have two things. First, I'd like to mention that the new EV truck is out and it's on patrol. It's actually out this evening. We have it dedicated to one officer currently. This is a way to see how well it's going to hold up as far as our charging system that we currently have. Manage the situation with that particular vehicle. Again, we really want to see how it does as far as holding its charge, how well it does running for a full shift or two. And, you know, when we have a situation where it's going to be using a lot of the electric, for example, with lights on a highway, where it has to be there for some period of time, let's say accident. We want to see the draw on the batteries to see how we work out with that. Again, as we get better information from that, we'll be able to determine if we want to run that vehicle 2 times a shift or two shifts a day with 2 officers, one, like, let's say a daylight. We'll see where we are with that based on this information we're gathering now. But so far, we haven't had any issues. We have used the current charging method we have through the garage on the borough side. And so far, we haven't had any issues. So again, all with that. The officer said he really enjoys the truck. He likes it. So. Secondly, we have a regular inspection every other year by the Pennsylvania Juvenile Justice System. And they come out and they look at our facility. They talk to us about how we manage juveniles in custody. And they always give us a report back whether we passed that inspection. We did pass our inspection as we usually do. So we'll probably We also get inspected by CJIS, which is the state police will come out and do an inspection to see how we do as far as, managing our safety with our technology and with our security at the building here. So we'll probably be seeing them next year. Again, these things happen on a fairly regular basis every other year, so I wanted to report that the juvenile justice people did arrive, they did their inspection, and they were happy, so they're happy and I'm happy. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief Williams. Chief, oh, sorry. Mr. Watkins.
Chief, how are we gathering the information on the energy use in this vehicle? Is it by app or by desktop, laptop, or
No.
we just view the screen?
We're just using the screen as our guide, and we're trying to see how many hours it's out there for and where we stand as far as the type of vehicle or the type of calls we have with that vehicle on that particular day. So we'll have a better idea how far it will go, and again, how often we have to charge it to maintain that particular need. Again, we really want to see how it's going to do when it's out there for a long period of time, let's say at night with all the lights on, the computers in there running, we may be doing other things with it. That's where we're going to see probably more drain than we would normally see. Regular patrol, let's say. But it is out on regular patrol now, and again, so far so good. And like I said,
Are we,
we're good for now, and hopefully with that heavier duty battery system that vehicle does have, we should be pretty good.
are we anticipating a 30% less power during the wintertime because we have to use the other heating and?
I think we're going to see a loss based on air conditioning and on heating because you're running more power through that vehicle to provide comfort for the operator. So I think we'll see it now with this heat, with air conditioning, and I think we'll also see it in the winter where you also have a drag due to the temperature loss outside. Again, this is a learning process for us. We only have one vehicle. We have other vehicles to use if we do have an issue. So I'm not too concerned about that. But I do want to learn from this to see where we are, so that if we are going to move towards the same electric type vehicle, maybe not this particular model, we'd like to know where we stand as we continue to move forward with the progression of changing vehicles. So
If there is an app
I do not
or
know.
anything that would give us
I do
direct
not.
feedback from?
I do
Okay.
not know that.
All right. Thank you.
Again, having one person driving that vehicle and he's using it and he knows how many miles he put on and he knows, the shift that he drove that day, and we know the type of calls he answered. We have a pretty good system there to see where we stand. Putting multiple people in it makes it a little more confusing, but with one person, we have a pretty good idea where we stand.
Mr. Erpelding.
I went personally to a Connect kind of sponsored EV car event on Saturday. When they told me, they actually knew about, I think Ian talked to those people, Chris, and they were planning a municipal training, like for firefighters, how to handle EVs, but also for police. And they would maybe ask you, and I think West Mifflin has an EV F-150, just to talk to other chiefs. But I don't think anything is planned. Ian probably will know more about it whenever they're getting. Makes sense once you get more knowledge that other chiefs can ask you.
Yes, we would appreciate more knowledge on all of these things.
Nothing is planned yet, but they're
Right.
thinking.
We're gonna gather our knowledge and hopefully we'll continue to get it from other people as well. As more of these vehicles come out and they're used for this particular service, then we'll have a better picture of where we go next and how we do that.
I guess for firefighters, it's a big deal too, what to deal with those.
There's tools that you can, I'm working on getting one donated or grants for them. It's about $900 that we can kill the power in a car.
Is there anyone else before we move on? Mr. Watkins?
I'm sorry, please bear with me on this. But Chief, is there any way that we can get some type of guesstimate or estimate on the actual cost that we're spending on electricity versus what we would have spent on gas?
I don't know if I have access to all that information, but we could probably come up with something for that.
Even if it's just a ballpark or something like that.
I don't know how much our electric costs are, and I don't have access to the fuel data that we have. But we could probably gather something together for that.
It's likely 8 to 10 cents per kilowatt. So. But anyway, they would, you would have that. Chief Colella.
Evening, everybody. Just a couple things. I had another incident with the Siemens folks. That email's going back and forth. They want to come do a final inspection of all the stuff they installed with the heating controls and the lighting controls. Emails going back and forth. They were going to be down at Public Works area in our building last Wednesday at 8 o'clock in the morning. I requested that they stop at the firehouse first because I had to get to work. At 8:15, I called the person who was supposed to be there. He didn't answer the phone. I called Skylar and he said, "Oh, we canceled that for today. We're not going to be there and we don't know when we're going to reschedule it." So I had a few choice words with Skylar saying he's taking time out of my day, that I wasted 2 hours of my day because I had to still drive to the airport to get to work. So I wasn't too happy about it that day, as well as today. We're having trouble with it. The guy called me and I was in Harrisburg and he wanted to come out the next day and he wanted to make an appointment for 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So his employee didn't have to drive through traffic to get home that day. But it didn't matter that they were trying to inconvenience us, so we had to be there at noon. Again, we're volunteers. We're coming down doing this on our time. We still have jobs to go attend to, and they seem to don't care about it. So that's on that. I'm working now with the folks doing the solar panels. We've had some emails going back and forth between myself, Mr. Abrams, and Mr. Reamer. So that, I guess they're moving on that project. First is the pool lodge, and they're coming down to our area. So I'll be working with them folks on that. Our fire reports, I hope you got them. I did them Sunday morning.
Yes.
We did 32 calls last month for the month of May. So that puts us around 200 calls for the year, this year so far. Which puts us on track to do, we'll be doing about 500 calls this year. We've been doing a lot of training with North Braddock, and some of the other fire departments in the area as a joint company drills, two nights a week or 2 nights a month. Taking into account, we have meetings on the other nights. So that's working out very well. We just finished a pump operations class. We're scheduling an EVOC class, which is all good for the insurance company. And I'm also going to work on a class with the Duquesne Light. They come out with a trailer and do some electrical education for the folks. That's on training and that. Mr. Watkins will be happy. I did discuss with the Red Cross and we narrowed down a project. So we're going to target the week of Fire Prevention Week in October. Red Cross will not give me smoke detectors to have to install on a regular basis. What the program we're going to do, we're going to put emails out. We're going to try to advertise to the residents of the borough so they can sign up for smoke detector installation. And we're targeting the week of Fire Prevention Week to go out, and we'll go out and install. Happy to do that. They don't have the supply to give us to hold on to because they like to rotate through them. But we did target a project target week would be that week. So we'll have some stuff, informational stuff at the 4th of July, the borough newsletter, and maybe we'll put something else out in the borough website and that, so folks can sign up for smoke detector installation, and that week we'll go out and install. Anything for me?
Yes, on one item, you have a good intent call, actually a couple of them, but it said natural gas leak. Did these folks call the gas company first, or?
They call us first.
Okay, they know to call the gas company first.
Call us first.
Okay, they should call the gas company.
Call us first.
I know they call you.
They should call us first. The gas company, for the gas company to respond to an incident, they have an hour window. We're more instantaneous. Working on a project now with work. There's been a lot of gas odors in the area, and we're trying to pinpoint all these. Not necessarily our area, but the other side of the river. But there's a big advertisement thing out for the gas company. They do call the gas company, but they call 911.
Okay.
Because it's in their advertisement.
So after they called you, did you call the gas company?
We called the gas company.
Okay, so the gas company was involved.
Gas companies are always notified when we have an odor even if we don't stay, we still notify the gas company because then they'll still respond someone, whether it's inside or outside. We have some problem areas in town that we're aware of, and we call the gas company. We might not stick around because there's known leaks, but we call them out and they take care of that themselves. But every incident we go on, if it's a carbon monoxide alarm that we find something or a gas leak, we always call the gas company. Even though we can mediate it, we call the gas company so they can check everything else in the residence. And we did purchase, I got a grant from the Scott Foundation. Scott Electric Company has a foundation. I did get a grant and we got new combustible gas meters that are for natural gas themselves. So we go in with a CO meter or 4 gas meter and a combustible gas meter. So on these calls, it's the same meter that the gas company uses. So we can go in and find this stuff. And if we have to shut a gas meter off, like I say, our response is quicker than the gas company because their rules, they have an hour to respond and you don't know where you're getting someone from. I know a lot of the gas folks that respond around here, they live in North Huntington, Irwin, some live in a borough, but it all depends on who's on call and who you're going to get.
Thanks for the clarification.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Anything else? Mr. Watkins?
Mr. Watkins.
Keith, can you tell me if we have any PFAS chemicals in any of the fire protection equipment?
Yes.
Is it
Can you
in,
explain what those are, Mr. Watkins?
okay, I'm sorry for the,
PFAS is forever chemicals. It's in your Teflon pans at home, your nonstick pans, your non-skip skillets. It's in firefighting gear. The gear we wear has PFAS in it. The firefighting foam that we used to have had PFAS in it, but we got rid of what we had, which was PFAS contaminated. Firefighting foam in probably a couple weeks, probably July 1st, it's going to become a hazardous waste. So it'll be harder to get rid of than it is now. Through work, I've been working with a project with the Region 13 Task Force to dispose of all our PFAS foam, and we have a lot of it. So we're looking at close to $400,000 to dispose of. But when you dispose of something, you need something to replace it. So it costs more to get rid of it than it does to get new stuff. And when they get rid of it, they're going to come in, they're going to pick it up, they're going to ship it, and they're going to incinerate it or deep well injection it out of state somewhere. Two methods to get rid of it. We've been dealing with this project for 2 years. Fire protection gear, there's big studies out now for long-term exposure with the firefighting foam and the PFAS in the gear. So there's more studies. Now they're starting to make gear without it, and that's probably going to be a project next year. I'm going to file a fire grant through the FEMA to replace all of our gear on the rack, which is going to cost probably $6,000 to $8,000 a set of gear times 25 sets of gear.
so my question is, what can council do to support you in getting rid of all the PFAS? For those of you who don't know, it has been linked to causing cancer. And I came across one study recently that said that something like 60% of deaths of firefighters are from PFAS, and they think it's directly linked to the
Firefighting
PFAS
gear.
in the uniforms and the gear they wear, and somewhat to the foam that they've used.
Mainly the foam, but it's just coming out with the gear. They're still doing studies on that. And that's going to be a big push in the next couple of years. With the AFG grant, we will be asking for support from council when we do that grant writing to get that pushed through. I have a good grant writer I use. He's a friend. He's done a lot of grants for us, and we've got about $1 million, almost $1.75 million from grant monies through with him helping me. So he's a good partner to have. It costs us not very much money. I got $1 million radio grant. It cost me $50.
Great.
We had a lot of pre-work done and everything. But yeah, we will be working on that, and I'm not sure if council knows, but we get a rebate from our insurance company for being claim-free and being clean like that. So we are going to start doing firefighter physicals for all the firefighters, so we can monitor all this stuff through their career. Now, me, I've been doing it for 42 years, so I've probably seen it all with the firefighting foam and everything. But these younger guys that we're getting in, we want to make sure they maintain their health. And we're going to start the firefighter physicals with that as an annual physical, so they can monitor their health for stuff that their regular physician won't monitor.
You know, since you've been doing this for 42 years, do you know of any instances where anyone in the fire department has contracted cancer?
Got a lot of friends in our fire department and as well as Wilkins that have passed away, and cancer was one of the causes of their passing. I'm very cognizant of that, and we like to. In the recent years, we bought a lot of stuff at the fire department through other grants to clean our gear, to keep our stuff clean. When we come back from a fire, the guys are very well versed in that. We come back from a bad fire, we clean our gear off at the fire. We come back, we take it off, we throw it in an extractor. We have a spare set of gear for them to put on while they're washing their other set of gear. So we don't let dirty gear sit on a rack like we used to. We come back, we clean it, we clean the equipment, and then we go back. We maintain it, everything's clean, and we're trying to do that as well as our face pieces, but a lot of big pushes on that, the PFAS.
Please keep in touch with council and keep us upgraded on
Yes.
it. And we want to help you and support you in that area.
Thank you. Anything else?
No,
Thank you all.
thank you. I know everybody's enthusiastic to ask questions, but if you could raise your hand before, no, it's fine. I know we get caught up in some of these things, but just so we can keep moving and we don't stay here too late. The next three items are actually for informational, or for an update actually to me and to everyone here. We were supposed to get markings for, and this is from LSSE, and you may not be aware of this, but driver feedback sign placement, the placement for the no parking signs on Pacific, as well as the speed humps that were identified for Bright Park and Ryan Glen Park. So we're still waiting, as far as I know, for those areas to be marked. So is there any update on that? Oh, yes. Yeah, actually, I could hear.
Take your same volume from there.
So yeah, we have a concept plan put together for a line striping.
Yeah, well, we all received the line striping for Pacific. The one there's another one which is later here, so we might as well address that for Sumner. And he does have some questions on that, which I will get back to him. I just got the email today.
Okay.
But in addition to the way the striping was laid out, when I spoke with Mr. Brett, he said that he would be able to mark where the actual positions of where the no parking signs would be.
Yeah, so I
placed.
think that's essentially what John Heil will end up. I think he wants to do a field. Physically put paint marks on the road.
What about for the speed humps and the driver feedback signs?
It could all be done at the same time.
Okay, because those all need to be identified.
Okay.
Supposedly they were looking at what the proper location would be for the feedback signs. So there's going to be 4 on Ardmore Boulevard and 1 on Greensburg Pike. So those all need to be marked, and the sooner we can get it done, the better. So I'll talk to him tomorrow and
Okay.
see what he has to say.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Bianchi. I just wanted to point out that we're still getting emails from people on Pacific Avenue. So we would like to have a date when that's going to be done. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Next item, again, this is just for the beginning of a discussion. Phone tree for emergency callbacks and for pool notifications. Right now, if council or the staff needed to be called back, that would be a manual process. And I'm suggesting that we look into using a phone tree for that purpose. It can also be used for contacting folks regarding problems with the pool. Right now, I think the idea has been that we're going to use Savvy Citizen to notify people that are using the pool. Not everybody is signed up to use Savvy Citizen. We do collect the phone information when people are signing up for memberships. They put that down for emergency contacts. So I think it would be good to begin the process of looking into this. I don't expect anybody to jump on this today and say it's a great idea, but I think we need to look at that, Mr. DeCrosta.
So do we have access through all the software for an automated phone system, or is that what you're looking at?
That's what I'm looking for.
Okay. Mhm.
I'm not sure if our current auto attendant has any capabilities to do that, which they probably don't. So we're actually looking at a third-party program in order to do that.
So it would take all the numbers in the system and just automatically dial what they
Just
notice.
send out a, yeah.
Schools do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll continue the discussion, and Mr. Abrams perhaps could look into that as well. And then the last item here is emergency plan. I brought this up the previous meeting. The idea is not for what we already have as our disaster plan, but this is more like a community plan. So we have a street cave-in. What's our plan? Do we have water main break that's going to take 4 days to repair for whatever reason? Do we have a plan for that? This building, for whatever reason, is rendered unusable. Do we have a plan for that? And so forth and so on. So I think we need to begin the process of looking at some plan like that that's beyond our disaster management plan, Mr. Abrams.
Everything that you mentioned, and I realize those are examples, but something like the street cave-in or this building being rendered unusable should already be a part of our emergency management plan that is held by Mr. Morse. And something like the water would be the responsibility of the water company, and then they would enlist public safety as needed.
Yes, we had a situation where the water company was repairing a road, and we had several residents that were either unable to get out and needed water. And it was brought to the council that we needed to have some process where they were going to pick up water at a certain location and so forth. By the time that all got into place, the water company had finished the repairs. But those are the kinds of things. These are not large disasters or large emergencies, but nevertheless, they affect our residents. And I think if they aren't in our plan, they need to become part of the plan. But we do not need to initiate the whole disaster plan. There are a lot of communities that have I'm going to call it a community plan as opposed to their everyday disaster plan. And that's what I think we need to just look at and make sure that we have something in place to deal with those situations.
And as I mentioned before, I think part of this process would be good for us to get together with all of our emergency services in some kind of session to do a tabletop exercise. Just bring up one of these situations that Mr. Bioki mentions and just understand how all of the different, a hypothetical plan, how different emergency services respond, what our role in it is, if the manager is calling certain, so we can think about that as you build the plan. I just wanted to suggest that again.
Chief Clell.
Your emergency operation plan is a working document. It's to be updated every 2 years, but it's a living document. You can add appendices to it for whatever you want to do. It also included in there is a norm, a notification and resource manual that has all your phone numbers in. So you know who to call if you have a water emergency or a sewer emergency. It has all that stuff in it. We can practice the plan as much as you want. It will work. There's also a class that council could take is for elected government officials. It's a ICS 402 class. It's a formal class. It's only 2 hours. We held them once or twice a year at the Emergency Operations Center. Some of them we do is virtually, so you can sit at home and do it virtually. That's an option too. I could find out when the next one is and let council know. And that's like a emergency management 101 for elected officials. So there's different options. Like I said, the norm, the notification resource manual is part of your document. So it should have everyone's phone number and it should be updated on a regular basis. So every election year, you need to change your council people. If council people change, elected officials change. It has everyone in there who you would contact. So the session of order, if something would happen, the mayor would declare an emergency. If the mayor's not available, it would go to the president of council and it goes down the line from there. So if you need a disaster declaration, and that's the first part of the process, if you think you need one, and the disaster declaration will afford you the ability to go out and get stuff without bidding it.
And just to be clear, this is exactly what I'm trying to avoid, is that we're not dealing with a disaster. We're dealing with a very local emergency that we're going to deal with.
We deal with localized emergencies all the time. We're here at you're here at this level.
Right.
But at the county level, we're a phone call away for advice because we do this on a regular basis.
Yeah.
We have 130 municipalities we take care of. You all have one.
Right.
But we can offer you advice. We can offer you help. We can offer you equipment if you need it. But yeah, you can make appendices to your emergency operations plan. Yours is on file with the county. You always need to have one on file. And then you can make any appendices that you want for a water break. What would we do? You're talking about something that happened with this building. You need to have a COOP plan, COOP, continuity of operations plan. So what happens if you cannot come into this building for 5 days? What happens if it would extend it to 3 weeks? What would the police do? Where would the police operate out of? That's a COOP plan. And there's other classes for that. And there's online resources that help you develop those plans along with your emergency management coordinator. We have a COOP plan for emergency operations center at 911. So we did one of those and we keep updating those. When I worked at Pima, we had a COOP plan and we exercised it. We evacuated our office and went to another office. So you have to determine where would you continue your government operations at if you can't do it here. Could you go to the rec center? Could you go to the pool lodge? Would you come down to the fire station? You can do all that in your plan. So you know what would happen if you can't, if this building is rendered useless. You have to figure out where the police are going to go. Can the police use Turtle Creek? Can the police use Wilkins, Churchill? Can they do all these things and make those part of your plan so everyone knows? And like Mr. DeCosta says, we can have a tabletop exercise. You can have a COOP exercise to say you can't use your building. Now what are you going to do?
Okay. Well, those are all good points, but I think what we need to do is start out by finding out what we have right now. And then seeing if we do have those elements in our plan. If we don't, we need to establish those and we need to just continue this conversation. That's it. Thank you.
Chief, what did you call the training, ISC something? You said there was a.
I don't think it's IS 402. It's a 402. It's a NIMS 402 class.
It's the ICS.
Is it the ICS 402?
ICS, okay.
Yeah, instant
It's
command
Incident
system.
Command System.
Ah, okay.
We
Thank
have
you.
so many acronyms, it's hard to remember all of them, but it's a 402. I can get you information on that class. Like I say, it is a 2-hour class done by folks at our office. So, we replaced Bob today. Bob left, but we got a new guy and he's familiar with the area. He's good training guy. So when we have those resources available to the council to come out and do those classes, they come out here and perform them for you.
Council's not aware. They're actually one of the NIMS classes, and I don't think it's the 402, but one of them is required for council. So if there are people who came on who did not get it, I can help to make arrangements for that, or if there's anyone who's been on council who wants a refresher.
I'm not sure if they covered that during our newly elected officials class.
That wouldn't have been covered during that.
Okay, we went to the emergency center, but okay.
Unless anyone else has anything else, we are completed with public safety.
Operations and policy. Mr. Abrams. I have attached for council my report of activities, which included the meetings and various areas that I've dove into. My understanding, is that this is not something that previous managers done. I plan on doing this on a regular basis and hopefully providing it to council further in advance if there are any questions. But most of my activities actually do end up crossing over into other areas of the reports.
Yeah.
That's what I would like to do if council's agreeable.
I agree.
I would look to examples of patch notes from the software world that very effectively condensing activities and change, or not activities, but like changes to borough policies or events in the borough as a possible inspiration for efficient information.
Thought we agreed, I'm not sure if it's in the policy. Delegate to people like director for routine things, like it's thundering, I need to shut down the pool. Very limited routine things, that's a manager. On the weekend, most of the things pool happen on the weekend. If that is out of reach to call, then we can't put anything out there. But we have like this, just the routine stuff that they can delegate.
We've discussed how we could do this out of Coghren. We already have email addresses of all the families that are involved. And rather than what I hear a lot of complaints are with Savvy Citizen, that there's a lot of things people don't want to know about. They don't know how to use it to uncomment, say something about the pool closed. Okay, so why not just use the email addresses and send email notification? It could be done right with our own emails, and that could be Mr. Reamer or Mr. Abrams, whoever wants to do it. No one's against anyone doing this. It's just we're looking at the most effective way, because there's only how many families are at the pool? Any idea?
I was speaking with Mr. Reamer, it's 300 to 400.
Okay, so that seems like a manageable enough figure.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that the social media policy, when it was enacted, did not designate the manager to have someone else do that. It designated the manager, the mayor, and the chief of police. Other people can compose for release by those individuals, but other individuals than the ones that I mentioned did not have access to publish.
What about the pool sign, which is actually named after the pool, was paid with funding?
Yes,
Is the rec director allowed to post anything on that with the manager's delegation?
let me answer that. The rec director has had access to that pool sign since the pool sign software was installed and tested. Whether or not they took advantage of doing any training, that would have been on the last manager to make sure that happened. We have been in discussions with Mr. Abrams to turn that over so that they can manage the pool sign as Mr. Abrams sees fit. So that's where we're at right now.
I don't think we're all getting picked up by microphones.
At this point, can I propose we'll just pursue the options that have been proposed by President Martin and President Mr. Bayoki? Phone tree and the email solution to notifying rather than making any.
Just to clarify, as far as an action item, then until we do have a solution for that, any pool closures for weather or other pieces should be drafted by Mr. Reamer, and then he will have to notify either myself or the chief to make sure that gets published as the only current way that we have to contact that. Is that correct?
Yeah, last year, when there were about 4 different types of pool closures. Pool closure due to weather, pool closure due to repairs, pool closure due to swim meet, and there was one other one. No, that wasn't.
Staffing or event?
Maybe.
I think it was air.
So air pollution, perhaps. I don't recall that. But what I'm saying is those are like standard things that would take no time at all to send out. So it's not like they have to be crafted each time. It's like, it's a repeat thing.
It's not a matter of crafting it. It's a matter of him, instead of hitting send, then having to reach out and contact and make sure that either realistically the chief or I are available, and that we can then log on and hit approve.
Right.
I think at this point, we'd like to continue with that. And in the meantime, next month or two, let's look at the email option. If you just want to be practical, I'm not sure Savvy Citizen is probably the most effective way to reach a bunch of 15.
I'm sorry, I just would like one other comment.
Sure.
I mean, the pool sign is open and ready for this. What I just wonder if we're scattering resources by, we're updating the pool sign. Savvy Citizen, the rec board has their own, somebody else has some other notification. I mean, when does it all end?
I think you bring up a good point. Let's just look at this for the next month. We've got 4 or 5 options out here. Let's just see what we can do and explore them all, because you're right. One of the concerns I have about Savvy Citizen, I'm getting a little off the topic here, but I will mention it. There's been mission creep with Savvy Citizen. That was originally basically a glorified crime alert when we adopted it. Slowly but surely, more stuff is creeping on there, and my concern is, and that at some point you're getting so many notifications, you stop listening to it. And there's very important things, primarily from the chief, that come out. And I don't want those to be lost. And oh, it's another one of those stupid things from Savvy Citizen. And I will have to say, in the last several months, I've at times rolled my eyes. So I think the point is well taken. Let's just not throw things against the wall. Let's give some serious thought. What's the most effective way to do the full notification? Yes, sir.
Wanted to originally second that. I think Savvy Citizen is the way forward, and that speaking about phone trees and email in 2024 may still have their place. But I think we should continue to try and use the more efficient and effective tools that we have invested in, such as Savvy Citizen, because trying to maintain all those emails and assuming that people are going to actually see their emails, or, you know, a text or whatever that just gets probably put to spam or et cetera. Like, this is a clear channel of communication that people expect to get borough news from. And I think we've invested in it and should continue to do so. But I do also, looking at the last 2 weeks in particular, second Mr. Lawrence's comments about creep of scope of things that are getting posted on there, where it definitely is diluting that urgent and immediate knowledge purpose.
Thank you. Aoki, did you have something?
Yeah, I did. So I have to disagree with Mr. Bacon about the use of Savvy Citizen. It doesn't, we have no idea who signed up for it. We have no idea if they're going to get that notification. The cohort of people that are listed as Forest Hills users are not necessarily in our area. Those are people that are outside of our borough. They're, as long as you check the box and says, I want to get an alert from Forest Hills, Savvy Citizen tells us that we have a subscriber, but it's not really or not necessarily Forest Hills subscriber. So you have that to contend with. If you're using emails and you're using the phone numbers that they've provided as emergency contacts, then you know that you're dealing with those people that are actual membership subscribe people to the pool. So that's, I would just caution you when you're saying that it's probably not a good thing, or it's an outdated mode of communication. It's still widely used. So just.
Thank you. And last?
I agree with Mr. Bacon, and I think 300 families is a lot for Forest Hills, and it's a big chunk of the Savvy Citizens community. And I think the problem Savvy Citizens has are also weather related. Like on Sunday, May 26th, I counted, we got 10 different thunderstorm watch updated warnings. I think it's actually the weather stuff, which I believe it's not the chief doing it, it's automatic. And I think people can actually categorize, switch off things like that. They should be even schedule, pool, you can probably even catch the pool and just say, I don't care about the pool, I don't care about the weather, which I think I have to do, because 10 on Sunday, pretty much most of it is weather, which is automatic. And that needs to be reduced in my mind, not the pool.
And I know that I've been in the middle of some of this, and we've actually moved from the social media policy as it's written, which is really designed to control access, to more of a PR communications policy. How do we conduct outreach to our residents in a way that is most effective? And got some experience, and we know that there are tens, if not 20 different channels. I'm not recommending that we go to TikTok or Instagram, but there are
Mhm.
ways that we can coordinate, that we can use both old tech, being a phone tree, newer tech, people do use text messages. They also, but Savvy Citizen and other apps and other Facebook do have their places if we put together a comprehensive policy. And I hope that as a borough that we would actually look to do a more encompassing, and I would ask that I be included in working towards that so that we can communicate to our residents in a manner that they'll receive it.
Okay, I think to wrap this up, because we're just starting to go in circles here.
I don't think,
I'm sorry?
I don't think we're talking in circles at
Okay,
all.
sorry, just a moment. I think the point is well taken, and I think you're basically reflecting what President Martin brought up. We should be able to be analyzing how to we most effectively get this news out.
One more comment, please. Everything that we're talking about was already talked about before when we made the social media policy. None of this conversation is new.
It is to some of us, Madam President.
Well, it's been available for people to look at. It's not something that was hidden. I understand new members didn't see the document, but you know.
Okay, I think you had something.
Mr. DeCrosta had
Okay,
it.
Mr. Costa.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I guess what I'm trying to say is I concur with Mr. Abrams in that we have to learn how to coordinate. I've seen the social media document and it's about access. It's not about how we're going to get messaging out, especially in an important event. So I think we do have to revisit that. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, I would like to point out that Facebook, the mayor, put the kibosh on. He said, young people don't look at that. So here we are revisiting again.
And just finally,
Yes.
again, I agree with Mr. Abrams, Mr. DeCrosta about these are two, they're related, but they're two separate issues. One is about access and who has access to do what. The other is how we communicate to the residents. We started out with Savvy Citizen. Savvy has some drawbacks. There are other apps that we could look at. We use Savvy on a, month to month,
Or we use it.
basis. I would hate to have to move to another platform, but there are other platforms that might be more robust to get messages out and targeted messages, such as only pool information goes to people that are subscribed to the pool and so forth. So that should be looked at as we're looking at all these other options.
To pull everything together, I think
Yeah.
the point is well made. Instead of worrying about how we're getting the message, what message goes out, we got to figure out what channels we want to use. And now Raymond is very new and busy with tons of things. So this is not a priority, but you might want to give some thought with your experience to come back. And this is not the most critical thing we got to worry about in the borough right now. So
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I appreciate the opportunity.
So, but yeah, we can do that. Just moving on, this is an update only. As you know, the council discussed a few months ago that our policy permitting use of this annex to this room, commonly called the community room, created some problems. The determination was made that we would begin to limit access to the use of that room. I know we talked about it in some depth a couple executive sessions ago. At this point, the update for you is that the solicitor has been asked to draft a policy he thinks safely protects the borough from any potential lawsuits, but also makes good use of it for our purposes. Hopefully, he will have something available for us to look at next week. If you do have people come to you and say, I have concerns about your change in policy, just let them know that this is a difficult issue and we are pursuing it. We can discuss it when he gives his presentation.
I was not at that executive session. And I just want to make a point. I was there when we did all those decisions like ages ago. And that room was particularly designed for purposes like political action committees. And the solicitor at the time advised us we can't restrict one party, which we never intended, we never did. So it was open to anyone. So is there like a Forest Hills for Trump committee? They were allowed to be using it. And the architect, again, this was Forest Hills Democratic Committee is using our meeting room in the old building. They used it for 10 years or so. It was designed for those people. I realized that the majority, I think all of you basically decided it's too iffy to have political people in this building. I don't get it, but it was not a legal issue because we said we will keep it open for any political party or not just for the Democrats. So I don't think there should be a concern that we like seen as taking party or not. But I realized 6 of you said no. I have to understand it. But again, this room was designed for that purpose in mind because that was the main use we had at the time.
I think that's why I wanted to defer this discussion of it, because there actually are a few more issues beyond brought up here. And I know Mr. Abrams has been quite articulate in helping explain the distinctions that are arising here. I think most of us did not think about 10 years ago, 5 years.
We're not there.
So, whatever. So we'll defer until the solicitor can give a really thorough review of everything. Yes, Ian. Mr.
Not to comment on that policy or the decision, but I think one of the main concerns brought up was that it needs to be a transparent and open discussion to whatever extent it possibly publicly can be when we have that further determination.
That's why it will be coming in Cal.
Can I make one more comment? I think, again, it's legal advice, I guess. In my mind, that discussion should have never happened in the executive session because it's a policy. It's not legal advice to talk about who is taking the room. I guess it's a gray area because you did talk to Steve about it. But in my mind, like we're doing today, that kind of stuff should be discussed in public.
Yes, please.
That was a decision made by Mr. Corbel, and that's the only reason it was done that way.
All right, couple last things and I think I'm done. It's been brought to my attention, and I noticed it after President Martin and Mr. Baoki mentioned that if you look at our website, we have that community tab. And there's a lot of stuff there that really no municipality or even city is listing on their website anymore. And just to have you get an idea, if you pull it down, you can find all the possible newspapers that service the whole friggin' area, every organization. It's an old list. God knows how accurate it is done. Public transport, restaurants, schools, utilities, and worship sites. It's hard to keep this stuff up to date. It's actually almost impossible to keep this stuff up to date. Again, it's not a good use of our administrative time. The other thing is, and I think the point was made in recent discussion, is that any of us who want to know how to take a bus, we go on where the restaurant is. I don't go to Forest Hills website, what restaurants are around here. I put in, restaurants near Forest Hills. So I think we're really not providing service much anymore. So I was going to propose maybe we pull some of these things off. It's not being kept up. And again, I don't think it's a really good use of our administrative time. Mr. Engberg. Yeah, Marcus.
I actually agree with you, but there's some stuff which I think is important, which is not on our website. Literally 2 days ago, yesterday, I was looking to renew my chicken permit, and the permit doesn't tell you how much it costs because fees change. So I think one of the simple things which should be on our website should be our fee resolution, so people can look up things like that. And I had to call Annette, and Annette didn't even know, couldn't find it easily either. So eventually I went into the budget and I found it, but the budget actually was from 2022 or not from 2023. I just assumed we didn't change it because I think I remembered it. Stuff like that should be on the website. what permits you need. Again, I said it before, people ask me all the time, I'm building a deck, do I need a permit? There is no clear instructions on our website who to call if you're building a deck, if you're building a fence, and so on.
No, I think I'd agree. Yes.
Who manages our,
I'm sorry.
who manages our website?
That's a secret. It's me.
Well, I think you need some help. I mean, that's a gargantuan
No, it's
task
not.
for somebody.
Very easy, actually. The problem is that the content is.
Could I finish what I was saying?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I thought that was the
You didn't raise your
question.
hand.
Well, I was answering your question.
So, the reason I'm asking is because I think instead of making unilateral decisions about what needs to be on the website, we should have a little working group to decide what's important and what's not, and what should be on the website. So, I realize, Jack wants to pull a number of things off, which I think some of them would be reasonable, some of them may not. You're probably making some decisions just, based on what people say, but I think we need to make a coordinated decision about our site.
Yes, Mr. Bayoki.
Okay, just so you are up to speed, I don't make any unilateral decisions on what goes on the website. The website has been evolved. I've been doing it for 10 years. It evolved from a HTML-based website that required a lot of programming to what is currently in place now. There were 3 iterations of the website. All the content was provided by Mr. Morris. It was moved over from the existing websites. If there's any content that gets posted, it gets approved by the borough manager. I do not make decisions on what gets posted. That's never happened. So that's how that works. Now, as far as the what Mr. Erbaldinger suggested, I absolutely agree. And a lot of that information comes from BIU. And those are the applications and the information that they provided to put on the website. As far as, if I wanted to get a permit for something, I can tell you it's a nightmare because you can't find anything or it's difficult to navigate through it. So it's not a nice, easy thing where I fill out an application, I check a box, and it tells me how much it is. And I think one of the goals that we had, I guess, at least when Mr. Morris was here, was that working with the Laserfish, they provide us free of charge, comes with the program, forms management or forms development. So you could create any form you want. It's drag and drop. And so we were expecting that someplace down the road, once all the other problems with Laserfish got ironed out, we would begin a process of looking at what forms need to be updated, how can we make them easier to use, fillable, routable, et cetera, et cetera. So those are the different things that we've been working with in the background. So
it just seems like we need to do a review of the website. I think it sounds like things got dumped on there for many years. They never got taken off. For example, this is pool pass season. Nobody could find the pool area. And to me, that should have been front and center on the website, because this is the time where everybody's going to that, just like Marcus is talking about in terms of permits and everything. So I just think it's, maybe it's time just to review what needs to be adjusted.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we all feel that way. Exploring websites from towns like this, because I was looking for stuff and it was so easy to find things, and I go to ours and I kind of get a little weepy sometimes. But I guess what I was saying is, we have that one tab with some stuff that's really out of date. Could we just quietly get rid of that? This is a big problem. Redoing what we're talking about tonight is good. But again, we got our hands full right now. And I think to drain resources to really address the website in its entirety is again, probably a nice idea, but let's not do it.
you going to say what I was going to say?
I was probably going to say what you're going to say. I also have one other piece that I wasn't sure if it was really for the executive session, but it might be appropriate if council would allow me to give one more handout. And I'm just going to kind of pass them down. And I put this together this evening, and it's a list of the projects that are currently in process that need immediate attention, projects that are, for lack of better, being slow walked until we get a little better control under the first group, and then ongoing pieces. For the main pieces, I've listed who the primary staff, secondary staff, and tertiary staff are, if known, when we expect to have substantial completion, and just like a building project where we expect to be able to divert resources from that for other things, not necessarily fully complete. As we wrap some of these top areas up, Mr. Baoki has been working on the website. On the new website for I don't know how long, when it started, but that is something, again, I'm involved in as the person approving. I also, if you go to the Munhall website, I went with a different company, but that was something I built because it was a very old, poor looking site. The Laserfish is, again, it's an ongoing project, and happy to give additional updates on that, but that is moving forward. It had been stalled for a little while. So things are starting to move forward now, whereas they had been stalled for a few months. So everything that's being said is valid. It's, I ask for patience, and I know some people have been patient for quite a while, but we're taking a different tack and a different speed on things. So I ask you to renew your patience for a little while, because these are aware, and I am working with the appropriate committees or staff to try and move these forward as has been expressed in desire.
One last thing, I agree with everyone that we need to look at this. Forget about getting a permit. I've looked at other close by municipalities. It's much easier than what we have listed. But I would say for tonight, yeah, the committee, or no, what is the one the one?
Community tab.
Yeah, the community, some of those restaurants aren't even, they're not even workable yet. They're not even functioning, so.
There's just a tiny Band-Aid thing, so. Okay, I think that is it for ops and policies unless anyone has anything else. That's it, folks.
President Martin.
One other question, and it's sort of related. It's not related to, one other question, and it's not that directly related, but
Wait, so we're ending the meeting? Or is this something?
before we end the meeting. I'm sorry, guys. I'll keep it short and sweet. Mr. Abrams, would it be possible to request that whoever the interim director or the interim manager is in Public Works, can you request that he attend our meetings?
Yes, today was his first day.
Oh.
And not at all up to speed on things.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. Meeting is ended. Thank you.